Hello and welcome to the video. I will not be going in depth with any singular character, but I will go as in depth as I think I need to, on a character to character basis. So please sit back and enjoy my probably controversial and specific opinions. If you enjoyed this video, I beg you leave a like and maybe subscribe for more content like this. Thank you. Izuku Midoriya. I like Izuku a lot because he combines something like Bakugo's DPS and Uraraka's movement, making a good blend of the two. He has many ways of getting away and pushing in, doing solid damage with his A-Quirk. And for those very skilled, his Black Whip can do insane damage if you hit the enemy directly with it. But admittedly, I am not very good at it. Very solid pick that anyone can pick up and have moderate success with. Katsuki Bakugo. Bakugo is raw DPS incarnate with some solid movement to boot. All of his moves are the type of, if you aim these right, you will melt through the enemy, with the exception of his special quirk, which is the movement he needs to be a really solid pick. He has no major downsides, but also doesn't have a type of stun other than break the enemy's shield and the melee type C quirk, so don't expect easy damage to be on a silver platter for you. For those skilled at other battle royales, I would say start with Bakugo because he is the closest to your average BR character. Ochako Uraraka. Uraraka has a lot of potential with some of the fastest movement in the game, and the ability to attack and run away in a moment's notice. The only big problem is how inconsistent her A-Quirk is at hitting its target, holding your life hostage. Other than the chance of it missing getting you killed at a crucial moment, she is a solid pick with lots of combos and abilities to allow her to pop off, with potential for growth and learning how you individually want to use the tools she gives you. Tenya Ida. Ida is both an angel to helping teammates when they're in danger, and a villain when it comes to making the enemies frustrated with your fast movement speed and crushing combos. The downside of all that power is a downside to one of his quirks, slowing you down to a halt and removing any hope of doing range damage. You want to help the team take down the enemy? Then risk your life and go into the enemy's domain, risking a quick death if the whole team focuses on you. The only other big use you have is carrying down teammates to safety, but if the enemy has a stun or they know you're coming over, they can kill you before that will be of any use, so be careful. Ida is really good and I can see all of his upsides, but to me his downsides make me confused on what I should be doing during a fight. I recommend him, but if you're gonna play him, expect to make split-second decisions to help your team or hurt the enemy. Shoto Todoroki. Todoroki is one of the highest burst damage characters in the game. The freeze mechanic is one of the most annoying ones to deal with, being a near 3-second stun where any damage the enemy deals before your shield is broken is forfeit. If you corner him, he can put up a wall and right after dash out without a moment's notice, leaving a freezing path behind him that will stop the enemies in their tracks. This makes him one of the best damage characters up there with Bakugo. You have heard it before and I'll say it again. The issue is, he has no vertical movement, meaning high ground damage can only be done with your A-Quirk, limiting your usefulness by a significant amount. And his special quirk is horrid, no way to get around it. He is really good and I would recommend him, but you may feel like crap if there is any vertical high ground. I would personally recommend using a more laid back play style of hiding and hurting people from behind your iceberg with your Y and A-Quirk. Tsuyu Asui. Froppy. Froppy is one of the most versatile support characters that exists in this game. Her damage is lacking and her main attack is shared with her movement utility, but her toolkit is not built for damage, but assassination and support. She can chase every character in the game, no matter what ability they use, and usually finish off low people without much chance of escape. Or she can use her invis to sneak up and do some damage out of nowhere with no time to react. To top it all off, her special quirk revives and pulls one of your downed teammates to you, allowing the chance to make an escape for them while they heal and get back into the fight. I hate fighting Froppy for good reason, but that doesn't change the fact that she can win or lose your team fight. I would severely recommend her if you're looking to win the match by any means necessary. Eijiro Kirishima. Kirishima makes you feel like a living tank buster with explosive punches and high horizontal movement, but same with Ida, he lacks any way to do range damage. Unlike Ida, he does not have insane speed, but you don't need that with his special quirk. His special quirk both reduces damage and makes you completely resistant to any type of stun. This turns you into someone everyone in a 10-foot radius should fear. Now time to talk about his big downside, starting with the aforementioned special quirk. It lasts a decent amount of time, but its recharge is one of the slowest recharges in the game, taking what feels like 2 calendar years to recharge. And you can't use it unless it is at 100%, meaning base form is how you'll be spending most of your fights. And in base, you're meh. Your damage is high and most of your moves stun, but if they get a bit of distance or height on you, well, youch. I'll add that with plus ultra you can kill almost anyone before they can fight back if they're nearby, and it refreshes that long special quirk so he is a menace with it. I wouldn't recommend him, but I have had Kirishima's kick me a new one, so I'm not calling the character bad, but that does not mean I like him all that much. Momo. Momo is the definition of carried by a single ability. Her B quirk is useless other than the off chance someone wants to touch the funny ball, and her A quirk is devastating but only hits if they're right in your face. But then there is the main character, the shield. Her C quirk not only makes her near immortal during it, giving heavy damage to enemies who get in its path, and giving you great movement speed, but it also has 2 charges, and not only that, I recently noticed it recharges itself mid-use. Like, what can it not do? In my recent Momo video, you can get a good sense on how I and my friends feel about it, but it is bonkers good, and is a useful utility combined with your A quirk, allowing you to get into the enemy's face to use it. Her special quirk isn't too good, but it can give you important healing items that you'll be using throughout the match, so it is useful if nothing else. I recommend her, but not greatly. She is really good, but you will have better luck on average with someone who can hit with range, seeing most of the map is open, meaning you can get shot from near anywhere. Denki Kaminari. Kaminari is a lot like Todoroki, but with a vision disability and on performance enhancing drugs. His stun time is significantly more brutal, and all of his moves cause it, but he is only close range. He has some vertical movement and the ability to make Tesla gates locking down certain areas, but if the enemy runs or gets a decent distance and has a long range option, it's hard to take them down. I would recommend him if you like to play sneaky and trap people allowing mega damage. Otherwise, if you're someone like me who likes more of a range and close up mix, then stay away. Itsuka Kendo. Kendo is a rare case of me not loving anything she is doing. Her shield is solid and can regen health without putting it away, but it does not allow you to shoot while holding it, meaning unless if your team is butt to butt, then you can't do anything but defend with it. Your main source of damage will be getting close and either pelting them with your A quirk, which is a shotgun type shot, or clapping them for heavy damage with your Y quirk. Her special quirk lets you pick up teammates and throw them, which is most of the time useless and gives you little to no reason to do it. I would not recommend Kendo due to the inconsistent damage and no way other than backward shimmying with the shield to get away from enemies. Ibara Shiozaki. Ibara is kinda carried with her A quirk and her special quirk, with the rest of her tools being useful only if the enemy is getting in your face. Her A quirk is a long-range ricocheting vine that does 2 to 4 hits with good damage, making her a good range choice, but her other 2 quirks are close range, being a grab that does health damage, and a shotgun type vine that only goes close range. And if a teammate dies, you can instantly get them up once in a while with your special, even through walls, allowing a second chance for them to get away or keep fighting for a bit longer. She may be carried by her A quirk, but I would recommend her because she gives good support utility, and her A quirk is unmatched in general use due to it having pretty heavy stun. All Might. All Might is not bad, but I'm not a big fan of him either. He has decent damage and great vertical movement, but none of his abilities go into each other that well, leading to you not doing much damage in the heat of battle. And his A quirk, which will be how you're doing most of your damage, is a significantly worse version of Mount Lady's, being burst, but instead of 1 charge used per burst, it is every shot of the burst uses 1. That leaves him with his special being either a high and pretty horizontal jump, or picking up people like Midoriya, but not both, since if you pick someone up, you can't jump and vice versa. I would not recommend All Might personally, and don't think he should be the last reward you get in the longer free battle pass, but he's not the worst, so you can find some success with him. Shota Aizawa. I'm not going to go in depth because I've only played 2 matches as him so far, but really early thoughts is he is not for me. His binding is a good combo with his Y quirk, but can't be used if another enemy sees you, and his A quirk, which can also be used for movement, always attacks, making it sluggish for movement, and not reaching that far in the first place. His kick is a better version of Mount Lady's at least, so he isn't all bad, and his special can leave a person who plus ultra useless, while your team deals with them. Way too early for me to say, but eventually I'll give a more confident response on how I feel. Cementoss. Cementoss is by far the most unique character who is genuinely great if used right, and awful if used carelessly. I hate him, but that's not because he is bad, but that he has a high access floor, and an even higher skill ceiling with moves that create structures to support you or your team, and hurt the enemy, stunning them to put them into an even worse situation. I wouldn't play him, but if you're ready to entrust your entire being into him, then go ahead, and you will be rewarded. Mount Lady. There's nothing horribly wrong with Mount Lady. She has good movement, damage, and ability to stun. And if you're doing well on health, once you charge up your giant form, you can deal with most people unless everyone around you takes their attention off of your teammates and focuses you. She is solid and I don't have much else to say about her. I would recommend. Tomura Shigaraki. Shigaraki is a really good character, has a solid upside with a devastating downside. He is a grounded, lingering damage type character. He specializes in forcing the opponent to run away and hunt them down with cutting away at where they can go. His A quirk is a decently long strip of land that does tick damage to any enemy that stands or walks through it, and combined with his Y quirk, you can make it hard for the enemy to get away and grab them, dealing solid health damage, or using it to catch up. But he does not have a way to attack at any altitude above or below him, meaning unless the enemy is grounded, you cannot do much, making him a glass cannon that can sink anyone who cannot get away or off his ground. I would recommend him, but be ready to play a more preserved playstyle, specifically catered to his advantages. Dabi. Dabi, oh Dabi. I hate Dabi straight up, but it's not like he has everything going against him, so let me be slightly more specific. He is great at dealing damage to unexpected foes and placing traps where the enemy would be most likely to run away to. But if the enemy knows you exist, all you can do is hope and pray they don't dodge and run to avoid all ways of damaging. The one big upside is you can delete down plays by placing 2 to 3 traps on them, making him excellent at cleanup. And to make it worse, he has no movement options, making him a sitting duck if the enemy were to run away or dash towards you. Would I recommend him? Never, because unless you can't hit the broadside of a barn, you're better off choosing anyone else. Himiko, Toga. Toga is actually really solid with projectiles that are both decently quick and insanely long range, and a solid movement ability that can plow through people trying to stop your exit. Add on to the fact she can copy enemies, including their quirk levels, and she's a solid pickup that has the option to survive near every situation. The only big downside is when you copy the enemy sees you as their teammate, meaning they could see you through walls. But it's not the worst thing ever. I recommend her greatly, and honestly, to maximize her copy ability, try to learn everyone else to a certain extent. Mr. Compress. Mr. Compress is a decent character. Nothing phenomenal, but he plays his role well enough and can help when you're in dire need. His special allows him to help a teammate who needs to leave, but has no way to. And him having a mix of movement and medium range damage makes him just good enough that I don't hate him. Would I recommend? Well, depend. But I wouldn't shy from trying him out and seeing if you think he is worth your time. And that is all for this video. I will say, man, I didn't really expect the script to drag on this long, but I had a lot to say for some of these fools, and I wanted to say it. I will say I'm happy with the overall mesh and balance with the game, but I wish they fixed some characters up a bit, like Dabi being a bit too awful and Froppy being a bit too agile. Otherwise, this has been my video, and please subscribe.